me hypo, and I'm like, welcome to Comics League. I am Jared. I'm here with NDAndrew. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, man, thanks for having me on. I'm super stoked to be here. I love talking comics, whether it's with my friends that I've had for years or with people that I've just met. I think comic books are a wonderful medium that have introduced us to incredible characters that we all get to kind of like share our passion with and passion over. And I am stoked to do that with you, my friend.
Hell yeah. So let's start off the question I always ask new people. What got you into comics?
Oh, man. So that's a two-parter, actually. Yeah. So my very first comics were actually the Sonic the Hedgehog comics from Archie.
Really?
So I started getting into those. It was like 7 or 8. So if I was good at the grocery store when I was there with my folks, I would get to pick a couple of them off the rack. Back when comic books were still in grocery stores.
Yeah.
And so I got to get those. My dad wound up getting me sealed copies of issues 0 and 1 from the 4-issue miniseries that ran before it ever became an ongoing. So I've got those in my collection. Those are in storage and protected. But I'm a long time Sonic the Hedgehog fan. But as far as like superheroes go, I was like maybe 9 or 10. I just moved to the Bay Area, California. We were doing some shopping around, my dad and I, at like yard sales and garage sales in our new neighborhood, just to kind of like grab things that, you know, either we needed or my parents thought they might want, things like that. And my dad picked up a couple of comics off of a table that was out there. And they were Superman, the Man of Steel, issue 0.
John Byrne?
No, Louis Simonson.
Oh, okay.
And the Flash 0.
Okay.
This was the very first issue of each of these ongoings right after the 0 Hour Crisis in Time event.
Oh, okay.
I actually got them right here. So here's the Superman, Man of Steel one, and then here's the Flash.
There you go.
So these are very important comic books to me. And then from then on, I was kind of hooked. And it's no small coincidence that Superman and the Flash are 2 of my all-time favorite characters. They've had immense impact on my life, especially the Flash, because as a kid, I was kind of always the smallest kid. And so I was never particularly strong, but I was always the fastest one in my neighborhood, right? And so I was like, oh, well, this character's whole deal is he runs fast. I could do that. Like, I can get down with that. Obviously, you read more, and as you grow up, you understand there's a lot more to the characters than just what their superficial superpowers are. But that was kind of the initial latching point.
Yeah, with me, it was, so I had just moved to Florida. And I was I needed something to do, so I started taking a drawing class. I still can't draw, but that's a story for another time. But so I decided, okay, so it's a comic drawing class. I should probably read some comics. So this was around the time the new 52 had just happened. So I was like, I didn't have to read anything except, of course, if you're Batman or Green Lantern, and that's a story for another time. Good Lord.
The cherry picking of the continuity.
It's like when I was reading Jeff Johns' Green Lantern, I'm like, so Blackest Night happened in those 5 years, even though half the characters that are kind of key to Blackest Night don't exist yet. Like, wait a minute here. Something doesn't work here.
A lot didn't work there. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And then it's like, this was also around the time that they had Superman and Wonder Woman together, which as I brought up to you on Twitter, that's like my thing is like that pairing. Instead, I hate Lois. That's like my thing among my friends. I'm the only YouTuber that openly says, "Oh no, I hate Lois." But it's because, you know why? Because DC always uses her to like prop up other characters. It's like they're like, "No, you are great, Lois. Superman loves you," including when they gave her powers recently. And I go, "Why are you turning her into Temu Wonder Woman?" It's what she is. So I was in there. So I was mainly reading trades. That was like my thing, because I can get like a small. Okay, so real quick, clarify. I like movies and TV, Lois. I hate comics, Lois. I want to clarify that. But so then DC decides, okay, so we're going to do DC Rebirth. Now, here's the problem with Rebirth. They openly said, if you like the new 52, screw you. So I said, all right, I'll see you guys later. And I was out for like 4 years until like the Snyder Cut got announced, and that got me back in because they had undone all the BS. And I was like, okay, now things have calmed down. I can check this out and try getting caught up on 4 years worth of comics. It's virtually impossible.
Well, it's not at that point. It's not just 4 years worth of comics because they restored a lot of continuity.
I know.
Not all of it, but they restored a lot of it. And so depending on what title you were trying to get into, now you needed to at least have somewhat of a surface level understanding of a lot more of these characters' histories than you needed to have in the New 52. And I can understand as someone, so I'm coming from the opposite end because I started in pre-52 era, right? Like I started post-crisis. And I, immediately went back and read stuff from the Silver Age and beyond, so Golden Age stuff as well. And so for me, it was one of those things where like New 52 was the thing that kind of pissed me off, right? But I can still put myself in your shoes with New 52 being for you what they had actually intended it to be, which was getting new people in, right? That was the whole thing. Where it's like, hey, DC Comics continuity can be a bit of a beast to try and navigate, and so let's give it a clean slate. Mostly. And let's see if we kind of again sans Batman and Green Lantern, but let's bring in some new eyes, so it's not as daunting. And that was a good premise. And you were one of the many examples of people who got into it at that time because it did exactly what they had kind of posed it to do. So I can understand from your perspective how like when they did the Rebirth refresh where they were like, hey, so we're keeping some of this New 52 stuff, but we're actually also going back to everything that was before. And I can see how that would be jarring. Well, obviously for me, I was happy.
Well, it wasn't just that. If they had just done that, I would have been fine with it. But they legit had so when Wonder Woman saves post-crisis Lois, Dan Jurgens wrote in a scene where Lois goes, I'm sure this must be weird for you seeing Superman out together. And then Wonder Woman goes, no, it feels true. And I go, screw you, Dan Jurgens. See, it's like when they were needlessly bashing it and like going, no, that was a mistake. We hated that. When like they're undermining it like that, that's when I have an issue because, hey, if like it got to the point where they had to bring some stuff back, that's fine. That's fair enough. But when you overly have to say that sucks, and some creators say you're not a fan if you like that, I'm like, no, I'm done.
Yeah, no, I can understand how that would be off-putting.
Yeah, that's exactly that. So yeah, but it wasn't until the Snyder Cut really got me into it, and then that's when I formed like the channel. Obviously, a couple years later, you guys would show up, so it's like, all right, that's it's like all this stuff is getting piled on. So I'm like, what do I have to read now? There's so much.
It can be a lot at once, right?
Particularly if you're a Wonder Woman fan, because there's so much stuff they do, undo. I'm like, it's like how many times I've been asked if Wonder Woman is bulletproof or not, because that changes so many times. Is she the daughter of Zeus, or is she also made of clay? How does this work?
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
No, and that's something that honestly, when you have properties that run for as long as they do, like DC IPs, you ultimately will run into cases of writers either playing fast and loose with canon or forgetting that a character can or can't do one thing or another. And so they'll kind of bounce around, and that's why you end up having a lot of inconsistencies in how characters are utilized in their stories. Sometimes it's deliberate and it's just for the sake of narrative convenience, and the writer is hoping that fans that have been reading these for decades don't notice that the character is either doing or not doing something that they ordinarily wouldn't or would. But Wonder Woman is definitely one of those characters that suffers from that, for sure.
Oh, trust me. And she's suffering right now because it's like, because I'm sure you've detected from my Twitter post, I don't have the highest opinion of Tom King as a writer. And
yeah, no Tom King book is allowed in my home.
I don't
allow that evil in here.
Thank you.
It pains me because I love Stanley Lau art germs. work.
Yeah.
And so every single time I'm at my LCS and I see a Archer Wonder Woman cover, I'm like, that's beautiful. I'm going to find a high-res version of it on Google and move along with my day, because that book is not setting foot inside my home.
Oh yeah, and Supergirl. You mean the one where he ripped off True Grit and turned Supergirl into a drunk pirate girl?
Yeah, don't
That's
get me
not
started on Woman of
Kara.
Tomorrow. Don't get me started on Woman of Tomorrow. There is one perfect version of Kara Zor-El, and she was written by Jeff Lubb
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
illustrated by Michael Turner.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it's like, see, the thing is like, I gave the Wonder Woman run 19 issues because I'm like, okay, let me give him a good amount of a good chunk of time. The minute he has Wonder Woman make the villain carve the word liar onto his chest with a dagger, I was like, see ya. Or
that's not Diana.
well, speaking of what's not Diana, so she makes a kid out of clay with her and Steve's souls because Tom King has a real hard on for Steve Trevor. But so the kid is a total female dog. Let me put it to you that way.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm
Trinity.
sure you've seen the image of Trinity punching Diana in the face, and Diana punching her mom in the face. By the way, just want to add that. But then he does something very special with the Mouse Man arc. He has Mouse Man take a bath in a bathtub filled with rats, and then he leans back like essentially like he's orgasming.
That's
a
lot.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like,
Tom King's got a lot going on.
Yeah, and then what annoys me is that then he'll say on podcasts that he knows a lot about comics, and I go, bro, if you have to constantly tell people you know a lot about comics, you don't know a lot about comics. It's like walking into a Fortune 500 company and going, I'm in charge.
Well, it's more than that. It's not just him saying he knows a lot about comics, which is obnoxious, and it is, but it shows that he doesn't when he constantly has to deconstruct or write characters completely out of character.
Yeah, exactly.
He does this constantly. He had some solid to good stuff in his initial run on Batman in Rebirth. Nothing like amazing, but stuff where it's like, all right, well, this is fine. Like this is, I prefer, what Scott Snyder was doing during New 52 personally, but this is serviceable. This is fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Tinian was writing a much more interesting Bat book in Detective Comics at the time, but that's neither here nor there. But if you constantly have to deconstruct every single character that you get your hands on, that shows you actually don't know anything about that character. What you're doing is you're deconstructing them down and distilling them down to this one thing that you think you know about that character. And then you're just moving forward strictly with that. And it's why all of the characters that he writes seem completely out of character.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's obnoxious, and it just shows that you don't know anything about these characters.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like the amount of time so he will then change the relationships of certain characters. Like all of a sudden Silver Swan has like this very obsessive like love for Diana, even though that's never been a thing. And I'm like, and then of course, again, Diana being so the thing that he implies is that Diana was so depressed that Steve died that she was a neglectful mother, or like, to quote Trinity, a toxic mother. And I go, arguably Diana should be the best mother ever created.
Properly written Diana would be like the mother of all mothers in the DC universe,
but
because of her compassion.
And then we get the absolute Wonder Woman, which is, in my opinion, the best book they're putting out right now. It is the best book at DC. At least in my
It's
opinion.
hard for me to say that, but I'm loving it.
Oh,
so
yeah,
on my every Thursday night at usually around 6:30 p.m., my buddy Spencer and I, we have a new comic book review podcast that we do. And every single week there's a new absolute Wonder Woman. We're just like, man, this book's just good. Like, thank God we have a good Wonder Woman book right now. And ironically enough, the good Wonder Woman book is in like this abysmal, hellish world.
I know.
Right? Where everything's supposed to be at its worst. And that makes sense with, Darkseid being the architect of it and all that. That's fine. It's thematic. It works. But the fact that Wonder Woman is still written more like Diana, more like classic Diana than she's been written in the main universe for a long time is really telling.
Fun fact. So Kelly Thompson said that when she was on the job, the original plan was to write Diana as essentially female Kratos and just have her be like an angry warrior all the time. But when she went down to write it, she was like, I can't do this. I'll just write her as regular Diana. And it shows, again, to your point, it says a lot when the Diana from literal hell is more of a Diana than the one that's in canon. That should tell you you're screwed up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Tom King continues to get work at DC. He must have like a bunch of info and blackmail on everybody there with the CIA.
Well, you know how he got his job at DC, right? His mom was an executive at Warner Brothers. Nepotism.
Yes. Yeah, I do recall that.
Yeah, and it's like here's the thing: he must have some dirt because otherwise he would have been fired for like the Jay Lee stuff or like any of the other BS he has pulled.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god!
Yeah, don't get me started on Heroes in Crisis.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's the story that even he admits everyone hates, rightly so.
Yeah. Well, DC, so it is incredibly rare that a comic book editorial office will hard pivot because of fan reaction. Because most of the time they don't actually care. But with Heroes in Crisis, the reaction was so unanimously negative, and rightly so, and so like visceral, that DC had to retcon that not once, not twice, but like 3 times until they were like, all right, I think we satisfied them now, right? Are we good, guys? Are we good now? We're forgetting this happened, right?
And then it took Jeremy Adams to redeem like Wally West, which Jeremy Adams can write any DC character well.
I was gonna say Jeremy Adams is one of the best writers in the business right now. His Aquaman is an incredibly underrated book.
Green Lantern, like
yeah, I mean his Green Lantern with my buddy V. Ken Marion, like he's so good at everything that he writes.
Yeah. Now, speaking of fan backlash, because my theory is that, I mean, it could be just me with wishful thinking. Let me put it to you this way: that due to the almost unanimous hatred that Trinity has gotten from the Wonder Woman fandom and largely DC fandom, I have a theory that Trinity is not long for this world.
See, I'm not sure. I'll say that the argument in favor of that position is the fact that we don't really see her popping up anywhere else.
The only place where she popped up is like in the DC, the history of the DC Universe book, and all it shows is like Diana created her, but that again, that could be retconned or changed or anything like that.
It can, however, the fact that you brought up the fact that you actually just brought up the new history of the DC Universe is the argument kind of in support of she's probably sticking around, but by sticking around, that doesn't mean that she's going to be utilized heavily. It's possible that she kind of just gets swept under the rug and not like outright retconned, but retconned passively by way of just not using her. That being said, a good writer could take her and then do something with her. But right now, you have Tom King.
This is the one time where we would be in favor of completely change the character. Make her right out of character. This is the time to do it.
Hard pivot.
Pivot. And it's like, it's like that. This idea should have been a layup because here's the thing: other DC writers have given Wonder Woman kids and all this stuff in the past. Like John Byrne did it in Generations. Even they did this in Justice League Rebirth. That was a story with like Hunter Prince was like her kid, and everyone thought it was the kid with Superman because of the cape. But it's like, this has been done better. Why are you doing this? Did I mention the fact that her series, by the way, that flopped so hard that it's called Trinity, the Daughter of Wonder Woman, and it's about fathers and daughters. Her motivation is trying to find Steve, not like, because let me ask you this, Andrew. If you wrote a series called Trinity, Daughter of Wonder Woman, what would you say is the basic idea of it?
Well, what I would do if I'm putting that as the title is I would make it a mother-daughter story.
It's not. Wonder Woman only shows up once, and then she's like eaten by Cerberus as a joke, just so Steve Trevor can give her a pump-up speech.
That's ridiculous. And I actually like Steve Trevor, but that's a stupid premise if you're going to call it Daughter of Wonder Woman.
Well, King has actually made me loathe Steve Trevor almost as much as Lois, but that's a story for another time. But yeah, so under Jeremy Adams' Green Lantern, so that was the one that really surprised me because it's like I've said it feels like you could read the Jeff Johns run, skip literally everything else, just jump straight into Jeremy Adams, and it flows together so well.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I mean, there's some good stuff in between there, but as far as like required reading in terms of like necessary,
that's what I mean.
Not
that's
really.
What I mean. There's not that much, so it's like
if you want to check out Morrison's run, okay. If you want to check out like Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns, there's some fun stuff there, but otherwise it's not necessary, especially when you have and I kind of coined this phrase on my my comic book review show, is DC, and actually Marvel's been doing it lately as well, where they'll cold start the premise and cold open the premise of a new story, where it's like they just kind of throw you into it and you're like, what's going on? What's happening right now? I have no idea what's happening. And they've done it multiple times.
Yeah.
They did that actually recently with Green Lantern. At least that's how it felt for me when they did was it Civil Corp?
Yeah.
Recently, where I read it and I was like, I don't know who any of these people are outside of like the main Green Lantern characters that we have involved in the story. And I was like, I don't know who all these other alien cats are. I don't understand what's going on with this council. I don't know what the premise is here. If there was stuff set up from the prior arc, like I know nothing about any of these people. The art was beautiful and the story was fine, but it was just like, that's something that's been super common lately from both publishers, both of the big two anyway, where it's like they just kind of like throw you in, even if it's meant to be something that's a continuation. It doesn't get you in any way, shape, or form caught up. And that's something that good writers will have some sort of you can think of it like a narrative gradient, right? Where there's not this hard start, stop. There's more of a smooth transition. And it's not something that some of these books have done recently. And it's jarring, even if the book itself ends up being good. It's just kind of like, whoa, like, what's going on right now? I don't know who they are. I don't know where this is. I don't know what's going on. They don't a lot of times like set it up in such a way that it feels like they're easing you into the story. And it's one thing to tell a story where you don't throw people right into the action. Right? Chuck Dixon actually does that a lot, where he just kind of like he throws you right into it in the middle of it, but he still gets you caught up a bit on the story.
Yeah,
itself.
exactly. It's like, yeah, because I think for the Green Lantern run, that actually worked in its favor, because even Hal does not know everything that's going on, like the fact that Earth is under quarantine and such. So there's that. But I definitely love the idea of like the way that like the thing that I really dig about this is like Adams brought back the other Lantern Corps, because it's like I always felt that was a mistake for them to just essentially throw them out, because it's like, well, let me put it this way. But am I having a voice glitch on my side?
No, apparently it's me. Am I coming through fine for you?
Yeah, you are for me. Hang on,
okay.
I'm checking YouTube.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you're good on my side as well. I don't know what's going on here, but
okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's like, because it's like I've always felt the Green Lantern is essentially DC's version of Star Wars, and it's like when you undermine that, you kind of take away something of what made the Green Lantern so unique.
Yeah, for sure. I love the Green Lantern lore that introduces all of the various cores and the emotional spectrum and all of that. That's kind of something that Jeff Johns really has, as like he can put that as like one of his Infinity Stones, right? That like one of his biggest contributions to comics, right? Being the emotional spectrum. And some great stories have been told with those. I've seen some great art with those. It's just been hard to keep up with Green Lantern stories, and I've had less and less of a desire to in recent years. Like I kept up during early to mid Rebirth era, and it wasn't that like the book got bad or anything. I just kind of like fell off of it and was like, I'm just gonna play some triage a little bit here and just pick and choose which ones I'm going.
Have you read the Jessica Cruz book from Rebirth, the one with her and Simon?
Green Lanterns or Lanterns, whichever it was. I only read the first arc.
Well, I would recommend read more because that is generally like great. Jessica Cruz is like one of those examples where, okay, it's like we always hear it's tough to create like diverse characters. Then Jeff Johns is like, hold my beer, creates Jessica Cruz, and she is like a fantastic character, happens to be diverse, but I'm like, no, here is the way to do it.
Yeah, and she was fairly well liked character too.
Yeah, exactly. A voice glitching back again. I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, it's and the thing is like on that, I think the part of that. Wait, and then they killed her off and then brought her back. But this is comics. What do you expect? But yeah, in terms of like his Aquaman run, I'm talking about Jeremy Adams. It's like, yeah, that Aquaman run. It's like, what in terms of like it being like spectacular in terms of like the art, him having the water powers now, and I'm like, oh, that's actually really cool, and you can like explore that.
The stuff with the blue, yeah.
It's like you actually made Aquaman like more unique than he already was, and like gave him more stuff to do.
Well, they didn't just what he did was he didn't just basically make him Tempest or Mara, right? Where it's like, oh, well, now he has water magic. Well, he already kind of had that. But now he has this like deep connection to the blue. And that's something really cool. I hope that the positive response to that isn't such that it causes DC to be like, oh, hey, like, let's add a bunch of these other colors and try and like, oh, well, now these types of heroes or characters are tied into this color and all of that. So like, I don't need a whole visible light spectrum deal with, like, we already have the green, that's cool. We got the red, that's cool. And now we have the blue, that's fine. Like, it doesn't need to go beyond that. Leave it alone.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yeah, it's like in many ways it's simplified, but also like it feels again like a continuation of the Jeff Johns run. It's like for some reason it's like a Jeremy Adams run and a character and a Jeff Johns run seem to slot together really well, probably because they're the creatives that really care about the characters acting in character and doing stories that fit the character. Because that's the problem with like a creative like Tom King. It's like Tom King creates like essentially tries to force a square peg in a round hole with his characters, but Jeremy Adams is like, no, I'm gonna take a circle peg, put it in the circle hole. And it's like he essentially shapes the story around the character.
Yeah, while keeping them true to who they are and how they're supposed to be, and that's important. That's important to us comic book fans anyway.
Yeah. You need continuity and like characters acting in character. I understand that characters can change, but there has to be some consistency onto what the characters will or will not do, because then what's the point of still calling her Wonder Woman or Superman or Batman?
Right. Well, it's one thing to have a character have a downward spiral arc or a character growth arc that does evolve them as a person. That's character growth. There's nothing wrong with that. However, that's not the same thing as just like a character being written with a completely different personality from one run to the next, depending on who's writing them, right? Like that's just inconsistency. and not understanding who that character is. You're not caring about character voice. You're not caring about that person speaking or acting in a way that they actually would.
All right, so I'm going to try leaving and coming back in because it probably is my internet that's giving people issues. I will be right back.
All right.
So let me try that.
No problem. Yes, I'll holler at the chat. All right, chat. It is just me. It is solo NDAndrew on Comics League at 3:30 p.m. Central. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Amosta, good to see you. Parker Parrish, welcome in. Happy to see you. Nemo Strange Songs, Impossible. Not sure what you're referring to, but welcome in. War Shark, good to see you, bud. Nexion. I see my boy Spencer's in the chat and our foil variant account. And no, I'm not going to talk about Jubilee Spencer. Midwife math is what we call him. Or at least that's what I call him. He's a big Jubilee fan, and I'm very much not. But I like giving brief for it.
Mm-hmm. The stream is the one that's glitching. It's like, all right. I mean, I can hear you fine. It's like when I have it up on YouTube, that's when it's like kind of stuttery. That's probably what they're going for. But I guess we'll push through. But yeah, so let's transition to talking about some Rippaverse stuff because I'm interested. So where did you first get involved with all that?
Get involved with Rippaverse? Yeah. Well, so I actually had been doing social media management and content curation for Eric for about 6 months or so. No, even more. Honestly, like 8 months prior to us launching the Rippaverse. And so I was doing part-time social media management. So I was handling posts for him on his like personal accounts and handling some stuff on the YouTube and working with our graphic designer and video editor at the time in terms of making sure that there's quality control going on with all the designs. And then we launched ISOM 1, and Eric messaged me before the end of the first day, and he said, "Hey, so remember that time we had a conversation about depending on how well this thing goes, this can become a full-time gig for you?" I was like, "Yep, I remember that." He's like, "So I kind of need you now." And this is like not even 24 hours into us being launched because someone just blew up beyond our wildest expectations. And obviously at the time we only had the one book, and we only had that one book for almost a year because it was 11 months later that we launched ISOM 2, and then ISOM 2 blew up. And again, it was like several months before we had Alpha Core 1, which was our third book. So it took us a little while to get going, but once we did, we found a rhythm, and now we've kind of like shifted gears to where we're pumping out books pretty regularly, which is cool. We've seen things where now instead of, see, here's the thing, you offer a bunch of people just one book. If they're interested in supporting you, they're all going to buy the one book, right? Because it's the only book that's available. You give a bunch of people options, they're going to do what people do. It's like, well, I love comic books. I don't read literally every comic that comes out each week, right? Usually I'm walking out of my LCS with like 6 to a dozen. Yeah, 6 to a dozen books is what I'm typically walking out of my LCS with. And sometimes that includes like variant covers.
Here's my usually no more than one or two that I picked up yesterday.
Nice. That's a good stack. And so now we're giving people choice, which is what you want to do, and that's what happens in an expanding universe. And so now people are kind of like finding their pockets, and now people are like, well, I'm just here for ISOM, or I'm just here for Yai, or I'm just here for wherever Chuck Dixon's writing, or we have our fans that are here for all of it. But it's really cool, and I've been able to learn a lot as a creative. I've been able to learn a lot as a manager. And I've been able to apply different skills that I've picked up over my lifetime and combine those with my knowledge of the comic book industry and my knowledge and just love for comic books themselves, and try and help be a part of this thing that's just trying to offer not even just an alternative, just like, hey, here's more comics.
Yeah, it's like that should be fine. It's like, hey, you're not forcing you.
I'm not twisting anybody's arm to buy our books. Eric's not twisting anybody's arm to buy our books. Like, I would love it. It would be my dream for people. One, it would be incumbent on DC and Marvel to get their crap together on some of their books, and so have them operating at their peak, where they're pumping out a lot more really good books each month. And people are happy about that. People who are Spider-Man fans are happy. People that are Superman fans that are happy. People who are Wonder Woman fans are happy. Everybody's happy. And not only that, but they still want to read our stuff as well. Because the way that I look at it is, it's one thing to be like, hey, these guys over here are doing a piss poor job. Everything they're putting out is awful, which isn't the case right now. There are some genuinely good books out there right now from the big two and from Image. I'm a big Witchblade fan. I've been reading the new reboot.
Isn't that good?
It's the best the book has been since the first 50 issues of the original run.
Yeah, it's like I was scared.
It's really good.
Because I'm like, are you going to like make her super like? Are you gonna like cover her up completely? You're gonna like run away from what the made series unique? No, it's like it's embracing it. I'm like, this is great.
It's a beautiful book.
Oh my god.
And the storytelling has been excellent. And Image just has a lot of really good books. But just in
Machine stuff,
the Ghost Machine universe,
dude. Rook Exodus, bro.
I'm a big Jason Fabok fan.
Oh yeah, me too.
So like anything he draws is chef's kiss. So I'm pretty happy about what Image is doing for the most part right now. But yeah, we're like, hey, we're now doing our own thing. This is our own take on a growing, expanding superhero universe.
It's fun.
And we're very blessed and thankful that a lot of people have jumped on board and are here.
Yeah, with me, it's like I started on ISOM and stuff because it's like, again, I wanted to like to test the waters, and I gravitated more toward Yaira, being a Wonder Woman fan. I'm sure you can anticipate that. And then it's like I got Alpha Core when you guys
Wonder Woman meets Killer Frost is basically.
Yeah, actually, and it's like when I was reading, I'm like, a lot of this is very Wonder Woman-esque, which I love, and particularly as a creator myself that has his own version of Wonder Woman. But it's like the other thing is like I got Alpha Core because you guys had that sale where it's like, hey, everything is $5. So I'm like, okay, if everything's $5. I'm not going to say no. It's like I'll try out a series that I'm not that maybe it's like I wanted to try out, but it's like I have other stuff I got to support. So it's like I've kind of been like sampling, and so far, yeah, Yaira is like my go-to one.
And that's fair, and that's how a lot of people have been.
Yeah,
so far.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's like she also has like one of the coolest like designs of the character, because what you guys did with Yaira, and it's the other thing, it's one of the things that I had that was I don't want to say a trouble, but maybe like a thing that I tried to get through with like my own characters based on Wonder Woman is like you make it close enough that you know relatively that the audience can kind of catch on to who this is kind of homaging, but you don't make it look like a ripoff. It's that fine line.
There's a balance there, and that's important. I'm glad you brought that up, because people seem to forget that homaging is a thing. People seem to forget that taking inspiration from one thing and leaning into that to create a new thing, that's a thing. That's a thing in character design. It's been done for decades and decades. We have archetypes for a reason, not just in character powers or personality, but also in terms of design. Like, because the thing that we do as people, right, is we tell our friends or our family, like, hey, I know you like this thing. You might therefore also like this thing. Right. And the way you do that is show them something that at least has some percentage of the thing that they actually already like.
I'll tell you a story. That's how I get my mom to watch superhero movies, because I go, hey, it's a human interest story. There's like a character with his father or something like that, because she watches those types of movies. So I'm like, and it's worked 100% of the time. So I'm like, here's how I get people into like all of these other characters. So like with my girlfriend, I'm trying to get her into more stuff besides Wonder Woman, because she also is not enjoying Tom King's Wonder Woman. So I'm like, okay, here's what you do. If you like this character, you may also like Witchblade or like Yaira in that case.
Exactly. So that's a natural thing that we do. And yeah, like I can look, if somebody is homaging or leaning into a character archetype and they're doing a good job top of it. I can look at the character design and I can be like, oh, so this character was influenced by N character, or N characters is more often the case, right? Because a lot of times we'll take multiple things that we love. Some of them might be within the same general archetype, and sometimes they're not. Like the character I created for the Rippaverse, he personality-wise is a mix of Peter Parker and Sonic the Hedgehog. Visually, he's a mix of Velocity over at Image. He's a mix of Quicksilver, and he's obviously a mix of the Flash as well. So I took 3 things that I love to create him visually, and I took 2 other things that I love to create him as a person, right? To kind of amalgamize this thing into my own, right? And when somebody does that and does it with intention and does it with passion and sincerity, you end up with something that is like, yeah, so if you like these things over here, you might like this thing here.
Yeah. Well, and what people forget sometimes, like a lot of the characters at Marvel or DC, some of them were created as like blank version of blank character. Like you have certain characters that are different versions of like Thor or something like that, where it's like a Thor-like character. So it's like, again, Marvel and DC are always like, okay, so let's create like they have
analogs of each other.
Supreme.
Yeah,
yeah.
They have analogs of each other.
Supreme is pretty much like the Justice League. Like they even did an event where it was like, what if Marvel was like DC?
Yeah, exactly. Or you have, both publishers have a scarecrow.
Yeah.
The Marvel scarecrow hasn't been used in a long time. Both publishers have a speed demon. DC speed demon hasn't been used in a little bit. But then you have other examples where it's like the characters are very, very close in design, but nobody really talks about it because most people don't actually care. Most people that actually read comics don't actually care anyway. Because, like, for example, you've got Speed, the nephew of Quicksilver, of Pietro. He's got the one piece, minimal lines, green suit, right, with some black on it, and he's got the open hair. He's got the goggles, right? Then over at DC, you have Inertia, who is Bart Allen's Reverse Flash, essentially, and he's got the green and then like dark green one piece suit, very similar lines, open hair, goggles. Main difference being like he's blonde, Speed has white hair.
Meme.
And it's like, yeah, exactly, right? And both publishers do that all the time. Like you could look at what is it? Rob Liefeld's Younger, right? He's got characters in there where it's like, okay, so that's Hawkeye, that's totally not Deadpool / plus Wolverine, and it's like,
it's fine.
Okay, like you're clearly homaging, characters that you love, and that's what people do, right? If you love something, you want to pay respect to it, and you want to homage it because you want to show, like, hey, this is the thing that I love. I don't own that character, and I'm not writing that character, but I'm going to try and create something that is mine, that does in some way, shape, or form pay respect to that character or characters.
Yeah, but I remember there was this, but there are times where like certain companies go blatant where it looks like a straight up like rip off. Like I remember, so when I first got into the Squadron Supreme and Marvel was doing this big event, it's like, so this is the design for Power Princess, and tell me who she looks like.
It looks like Donna,
or like straight up Wonder Woman,
or Wonder Woman.
I'm like, that's just Wonder Woman in black armor. Like, well, what are you doing?
Well, which would essentially be Donna in Justice League. Diana is what it could be. Wonder Woman is, or not. Freaking, why am I blanking? Superwoman. Yeah.
Who? So the evil Wonder Woman, also named Lois Lane, almost as if that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
And Dave says, and Marvel only brought Barry Allen to the Marvel universe with amnesia after Christ on Infinite Earths.
Buried Alien. Yeah. Yeah, when they had the Great Race.
Oh my God.
No, I'm well aware. Yeah, both publishers do that kind of thing like all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, this is comics.
Yeah, exactly. Now, okay, so here's a fun question because there's been talk about like amalgam stuff with like the omnibuses being released and like the crossover book. Who would you amalgamize your character with?
Oh wow. So if I were to, okay, so that's there are a lot of layers to that question. So if I was to amalgamize my character with somebody from DC or Marvel, okay.
And I'm gonna say speedsters are off the table because that's the obvious question.
That's okay. That's okay. I actually wasn't gonna go for
I wanted to make sure.
And my buddy Spencer, who's in the chat, is probably gonna be shocked at this answer, and he'll know why this is such a shocking answer for me. But Superboy
oh my
Prime.
God, really? So we can like as he's running, he's punching the walls of reality.
Honestly, I'd have to go with him. I have this newfound love for that character that I have never had.
Superman series
in my entire life.
It's so good. All right, so,
it's so good.
So I'll tell you a funny story. So I have a buddy of mine. He does all the support stuff on my website. He doesn't read comic books, so I wanted to play with him. So I was like, "Do you know the original way Jason Todd came back to life? Well, Superboy Prime punched the walls of reality, and then the ripples. You can see his face. He's like,
yeah."
And I'm like, "Yeah, he was literally punched back to life."
Yep.
Oh my God. It's like that's the most comic booky thing I have ever heard.
Get Silver Age with me.
Yeah,
that is my favorite line in comics this year.
Or NDAndrew is gonna be pissed.
That was funny too.
But yeah,
I also just love that he's constantly
and
he's calling all the bad guys dork or nerd,
exactly.
Right? And it's just like where he's saying "shut up, nerd" or whatever.
Or it's like, man, I have no problem killing Legionnaires.
Yeah. I am so baffled with myself that I am liking this character right now. Not just liking, but loving.
And when you look at like the way he was, like even in post-crisis, you weren't supposed to like him. He was supposed to be like the nerd that was like, this can never change.
Yep.
But now,
exactly.
But now it's like you have like Death Metal, where he made like the ultimate sacrifice and everything. Sacrifice, if you will. And then it's like that kind of redeemed the character.
It did. That was like the first time in the character's history, really, that I was like, oh, well, I still hate everything you did leading up to this, but all right, like respect.
Yeah, exactly. For me, if I had to amalgamize Athena, probably be with She-Hulk.
Okay.
Because I would have gone power. Obviously, I'm not going to do Power Princess or Wonder Woman because that's obvious. But it's like She-Hulk because it's like Athena. At least at the end of like Volume 1, she's very confident and like she's very hot and she's like more of like a warrior in that sense. So I always She-Hulk's the other character that's been put through the ringer, man. Like with Jason Aaron's Avengers run, which I stopped after the first trade. As soon as I saw Hulk, She-Hulk, I was like, nope, I'm out. See you, bro.
Yeah, the whole thing is that she's supposed to like have this incredible confidence that she gains when she transforms.
Be hot.
And she looks hot as hell, right? This is why people talk about John Byrne's She-Hulk so much,
There's a cover where she's covering her boobs and they're handing her jump rope. Like, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's like, trust me, the other character that I love at Marvel, and as soon as I bring up the name Jason Aaron, it sends a shiver down my spine because this character is the Punisher. Thank God for Benjamin Percy. Have you read the
I haven't read the new one yet,
bro.
I've heard that Punisher fans are happy.
It is bloody as hell, and
I've never been a gigantic Punisher guy, but I've always like paid attention to how happy Punisher fans are or are not with the current runs. And I'm glad and pleased to hear recently that like since that Red Band series,
Well,
they've been
as soon as
happy again. It's like, oh, that's good because y'all were pissed
as soon as
before.
the Daredevil series came out and like he was a badass in that, Marvel in their infinite like desire to be like synergized with the MCU was like, quick, get rid of that Timu Punisher that we put in there, because here's the funny part about what they did to Punisher. So they shelved Frank, but then created another character that has the exact same origin as Frank, but it's not named Frank.
That's stupid.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I can see why Punisher fans were pissed off.
Yeah, and it's like put it this way: Marvel is the publisher that has pissed me off the most with like what they've done to like my favorite characters, like Captain America, and making him Hydra agent, and then even worse,
thank Nick Spencer. Thanks for that.
Then worse after that, having Ta-Nehisi Coates write Captain America. That was just about like the worst thing you could do for Captain America.
And then he wrote like one of the dumbest runs on Black Panther ever.
I've heard some people like it, some people hate it.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah,
I only read a couple issues and I was like, this isn't it.
He's not a good comic writer. That's the thing. It's like,
well, because he's not a comic writer.
Yeah, exactly.
Nor is he a comic reader. Like he doesn't know anything about these characters.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, it's like I read the entire Ta-Nehisi Coates' Captain America run because I like Pain. And it's like, here's the thing. It started off
because I like Pain, apparently.
It started off okay. It wasn't like great, but it was good because the first trade, Captain America says, how can I keep calling myself Captain America if I'm constantly going against the US government? And I go, okay, that's an interesting question, because it's like you could go off of like even in Civil War and all that stuff. So that's interesting. And then it just gets really boring. And then it just like, it begins the Cap flagellation that like he's been doing for like other writers have carried on, like particularly when like he goes, America was never awesome or great or anything like that. I'm like, that's not what Captain America believes, though.
Yeah, no, he's supposed to embody like the best of our ideals as a nation and as a free people. So, yeah, I remember seeing that page and that panel and being like, man, what are we doing?
I'm like, why did you do that? And then it's like, then Iron Man comes along, and I'm like, the interesting thing about Iron Man is that they keep doing the same story over and over again, which they kind of keep doing the Batman, where like they take away his cash because being rich is problematic, and then they give it back, and then the next writer takes it away. Or with Batman, he loses control of Gotham every story arc. So I'm like, are you like good at your job at all?
The stuff with Batman, especially because I'm a far bigger Batman fan than I am Iron Man fan. It's annoying because that's one of those cards you don't get to play that more than once, really. At least not more than once in a generation, as far as I'm concerned, or once in, say, maybe a continuity, right? And it loses its power, it loses its gravity when you do something like that. And it's like, okay, so this is the current status quo that's going to change in a year, maybe. And so what I try to balance is, okay, but is the story itself still a good story in isolation? And that's ultimately where I have to try and draw the line, because in comics, there is so much status quo, I guess hot potato, depending on who's writing which character. And it gets annoying for sure. But at the end of the day, I do want to just read a good story. And so if somebody can, even if I'm not on board necessarily with the premise right from jump, if somebody can get me on board by way of just telling a good story, despite my feelings on the premise, then that's an accolade to
I can give that. It's like, I'm the same way. I can ignore like stuff that maybe I'm not the biggest fan of if I'm enjoying the story. Like a lot of that is like in absolute, a lot of it is in the absolute universe, because I'm not used to seeing these characters act in this way or be this certain way, like Batman punting a child. But I'm like, it works. But that is the most hilarious page in Batman's history, I think.
That panel is golden.
I love it. But it's like, if it's serving the story and it's telling a story that relatively you could put like Batman in and it would still kind of make sense. Like with Wonder Woman, there are a few things in absolute Wonder Woman that I'm like, not I'm not sure how we feel about this, but it works for the story you're trying to tell with this particular version of the character.
Mhm. Yeah. No, and I think that's when that's like talking about approaching a story with intellectual honesty, right? Where you're saying, I may not necessarily be on board with this or this. However, I can still acknowledge that the rest of this is still pretty good and I'm enjoying it. And I'm not allowing this bit here, whether it's this 1% or 5% that makes up this story, I'm not going to allow that to deter me from enjoying the rest of this, which
Yeah,
is
exactly. And that's the key. The story itself has to be good, because I could say about Tom King's Wonder Woman, but I'm like, the story there is hot garbage. So if it's like, I'm not going to excuse all that stuff if the story itself sucks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The story still has to be good for me to be able to say, okay, I may not like these bits about it, but I do like the rest of it.
What's funny is, so we have a running joke in the channel. So one of my co-hosts calls Trinity the Chucky baby, because there was a cover drawn by Nicholas Scott. Diana's holding Trinity at arm's length, and Trinity looks like a doll.
Oh gosh, okay.
So
I don't think I saw that cover.
It looks that's by the way, speaking of covers, book, he gets the best artists.
Gee, like Heroes in Crisis had Clayman.
It was a beautiful book.
Clayman is stupid good. Like his work is gorgeous, and he got Clayman when he was doing one of his Batman books too. And it's like, man, what the hell? Why is this freaking loser, this clown, getting some of the best artists in the business on his project?
And reportedly, that's why he got an editor fired, because he wanted David Finch to draw a book he was doing for Batman, but the editor said no. Which I'm like, of course, but it's like that's trouble. Or like with Wonder Woman, so Sampere is a good artist. He got, I think he got kind of stiff, and like as it went on, almost like he gave up. But it's like
almost like he didn't care about the script.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like there's too much. There's too many times where like the art will be spectacular, and I'm like the art on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. The art itself is good. Cosmic. The problem is you also have to read the words, and it's like too many people I hear. It's like, here's the thing, because I actually had a conversation with someone about Supergirl, and so someone that liked the book, and I said, here's the problem with it. It may be a good story. It's not, but let's go off of the assumption it's a good story. It's just not a good Supergirl story.
And there are plenty of cases where that happens.
Yeah,
but that's, in my opinion, not what Woman of Tomorrow is.
Yeah, it's like she's not a drunken pirate girl. It's like Tom King thinks because she remembers Krypton and stuff that she must be traumatized and must be drinking through her trauma. I'm like, that story's been done already. And then it's like that's what the Red Lantern story was for, where she became a literal Red Lantern. This has already been done.
He didn't do anything new. All he did was take ideas that had already been done and then made it retarded. Because he's not a good writer and he doesn't understand characters, and that was like some of the most out of character writing I've seen for Kara ever, and it pissed me off. And as much as the art is genuinely beautiful, Bilquis has gorgeous art, but like you just said, you have to read the words too, and I have no interest in reading Tom King's words.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But it's like with Batman. So I read a good portion of his Batman run. I actually, I think I read pretty much, except for like a couple arcs, I read the entire thing. So what I noticed is that it's decent. Like you said, it's not the best.
Up until issue 50, there are a couple of like
that's where solid,
yeah, after issue 50, it just takes a complete nosedive. But before that, there were a couple of solid arcs.
I got a little pissed when he basically said that Batman's suicidal and his suicide is Batman. I go, no.
He loves to push that type of headspace onto characters. I mean, he did it with Wally West in Heroes in Crisis.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
It's character assassination as well.
Yeah, it is. It is, honestly, and it's like it's because it's like that's Batman's never really been suicidal or anything like that. But then, so when I
He can be
explained,
obsessive.
yeah, when I explained to my co-host about like the gift arc where Booster Gold brings back his parents and Hal Jordan offs himself in front of him, she goes, "What is wrong with that man?" Or where Catwoman kills the Waynes in that story, and she's like, she said, "That better not actually be what the story is." And I go, "Yeah, that's what the story is." Oh, and then like remember in the Batcat book that they gave him because he got kicked off of Batman because Hulk was outselling him. So it's like they had it where like what the way Catwoman dies is like she's in an alley, a robber comes up to her and she basically taunts him into shooting her.
I'm gonna be honest. No, because I avoided that book.
Yeah, that's what happens in that book. That's what happens
I avoided that book
Sorry to
because
spoil it, but there's that.
At that point, I was already in my mode of, nope, I'm not touching anything with Tom King's name on it. I absolutely refuse.
So, you know, the Wonder Woman book pissed me off so much, I took most of my Tom King trades and sold them at my comic book store. I'm like,
this is the way.
This is the way. It's because here's the thing. It's like, my friend Jim has a fantastic way of phrasing this. Everyone likes Tom King's writing until he writes their favorite character. Because here's the thing. I liked it. I even did a video defending Heroes in Crisis. Let me explain. But it's like, let me explain, please. So my explanation for this video.
Fast.
It was, if you ignore all the Wally West stuff and take it as an independent story of superheroes dealing with PTSD, that's not an altogether bad story. When you bring in the Wally West stuff, like if you ignore like how Wally West had been like ignored by DC and stuff, because also remember, at least according to King, he didn't have a choice on which characters he included in Heroes in Crisis. So it's like, I can understand it if it's like, hey, it's editorially mandated. You couldn't like use the characters that this would have worked better for. I understand that. But it's like, so with Wonder Woman, I got pissed off, obviously. So then I went back. And then I started to notice those same tropes in the bat because he writes the same damn story over and over and over again. So I started to read it and I was like, yeah, wait, when has this sucked? And then it's like, was this always this bad? The answer is yes, but it's like, how about in Heroes in Crisis where he has Hal Jordan go, what even is willpower? And then, so it's kind of funny.
When he's also pretending to be Alan Moore and putting everything in a 9-panel grid.
Well, also, yes, but also he was on a friend of mine's podcast, and my friend Robert asked that, and then Tom King was basically trying to say, what even is the idea of willpower? He was trying to be philosophical about it, and I go, brother, just admit that you screwed up because nothing in that indicated that.
Yeah, there's nothing there. The premise of superheroes or even like attempting to be reformed supervillains, like requiring maybe mental help, that premise in isolation, that could work.
Particularly
you could
when
have
you take into
there.
account what these people have encountered over the past decade.
Yeah, but in order to do that properly, you have to actually have an understanding of not only who those characters actually are, but also what it is that they had specifically gone through, not done a 5-second Google search on worst thing that happened to such and such character, right? Like you need more understanding of it than that.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
calling
exactly.
that surface level is even being generous.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Giving that to somebody like Tom King, who doesn't understand any character that he writes because all he knows how to do is deconstructionism, you're ultimately going to fall short on that idea every single time.
Yeah, and from what I heard from people, what he does is he has like a list of story ideas he wants to do on his computer, and whenever he's assigned to write a character, he just forces that story in there. Wait, did you see there was this panel that was so hilarious? It was a Google panel, and it was like a bunch of Batman writers, Tom King and Frank Miller, and Tom King goes on this whole thing about where where like he likes to put a lot of himself into Batman. Like here's how if I were Batman I would act.
Yeah, he
Frank turns to him and goes, "No, that's not the way you're supposed to write it. You're not Batman. You're supposed to do it how Bruce Wayne would do it."
Yeah, if Frank Miller's telling you that even after he wrote All-Star Batman and Robin, you've got a problem.
After all, he is the goddamn Batman. So this is the man that had Wonder Woman go out of the way, sperm bank.
Yep. That was, man. I hear you, like once annually, I reread that book just to remind myself how bad the writing was, but also how beautiful the visuals were.
See, here's the thing. I could excuse like the Wonder Woman and the Justice League stuff because at least this is the way Frank tried to justify it. This is supposed to be that Batman's like perception of who the other heroes are, how they probably act. So I'm like, that type of crazy Batman seeing a woman that comes from an island of warrior women would probably think that's how Wonder Woman acts. So I get that. By the way, as Green Lantern fans, how much of it is a red flag that Tom King is like the chief creative of that Lantern show?
It's a huge red flag to me, as is the fact that they're using Woman of Tomorrow as the inspiration and kind of like foundation and skeleton for the Supergirl film, because I think Millie Alex's casting is pretty dang good.
She looks like Supergirl.
Despite the fact that she was acting like a drunken bimbo at the end of Superman, which annoyed me, because the second I saw that, I was like, "Yup," because we had already knew that King is involved and that Woman of Tomorrow is part of that. And so as soon as I saw her acting like a drunken imbecile, I'm like, oh, "Okay, here we go." But in isolation, looking at her in the suit, she looked amazing. She looked perfect.
Yeah, again, it's like from a visual standpoint, Tom King influenced stuff look good. It's just when you actually think about it, because I'm gonna be getting tired of explaining to people Supergirl is not a drunk. Please do not think she's a drunk, because there's too many people that are going to think that. There are already so many people that think that Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor are like the couple of Wonder Woman, where when you look at the Wonder Woman books going back to like post-crisis, he wasn't. That's the thing. But it's like, and then it's also a red flag when the showrunners goes, "Oh yeah, we're not basing this off of any comics. It's really just Tom King's version of Green Lanterns." And then as soon as I hear those words, I'm like, well, that ain't good.
Yeah, it's not typically what you want to hear.
Yeah, it's like that's the one reason why part of me hopes that the DCU does not like last that long, because then Tom King will stop getting work. But here's the funny part on the Wonder Woman thing. Someone that I know asked him about his Wonder Woman run, and he said because the DCU is giving him so much work, he may have to leave the Wonder Woman run soon. So I'm like, ironically, giving him more work might actually have a good idea.
I'd rather have a good Wonder Woman comic again that I actually want to read for the first time in ages, rather than giving a crap really about anything he has a hand in the live action. Because ultimately, I will trade good live act. Like I'll trade that away. I'll trade away the live actions to have the comics be good.
Yeah, exactly. And so what I tell people, because the question is who else could come on the Wonder Woman book after King? And I've always said like Jeremy Adams said he wants to, maybe Kelly. There's any number of writers. What I always tell people is
at this point you could put Kelly Thompson on the regular Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Oh yes. But here's the thing. I'm like, regardless, let's just get King off the book first.
Let's start with that.
Let's start with that. That's the key. We can deal with whoever comes on later.
And if you have to have like an interim, I don't know, like a mini, where you have 6 issues or whatever, you got a fill-in writer and a fill-in artist while you figure out who's going to be doing the ongoing going forward. Like that's fine. I can live with that. I will give that whoever that person is, as long as it's not Mariko Tamaki, or Tom Taylor, I will give it a shot. If it's neither of them,
had a pretty decent arc on Wonder Woman.
I refuse to allow anything she writes in my home.
Yeah,
she is one of my 3 no-goes.
Yeah,
Tom King, Tom Taylor, and Mariko Tamaki.
Yeah, I'm kind of at that point with Tom Taylor as well. He's kind of I'm not a big fan of his stuff, but yeah, it's like, again, it's like, just, we can deal with it to the point where the fans and I have actually started our own hashtag to get him kicked off the Wonder Woman book.
You know, I wish things like that actually worked.
Me too.
But for the most part, they don't.
Yeah, it was just more like, okay, you know what? Just so people have a way to express it, that's fine. But it's like,
what it does do positively
Mhm.
is it does show you that there are people of like minds with you, right? Where it's
Which
like,
is
hey,
why
I'm
I
not
did it.
alone, right?
Which is like, look, if it does anything, great. I'm not like expecting it, but it's like, okay, you know what? Just so, again, to your point, so people know, hey, other people hate this dog crap.
Yeah, and then you can be like, oh, well, maybe now that you know you have some kindred spirits around you, you can say, okay, well, maybe now we can bond over this thing.
we can trauma bond together.
Yeah, you can make some friends that
it's like
way.
we're coming back from the war.
Yeah, no, I've made friends strictly in this sphere because we, for whatever reason, you know, hated one thing or another that was done to either comic books or to Star Wars or to whatever else, and then we became friends. It's like, all right, well, you know what, this current stuff sucks right now. What was the stuff that we both loved? Let's talk about that. Like, that's because that's more fun at the end of the day. We can bitch about, you know, stuff that is awful until we're purple in the face, and that can be cathartic to a degree, but only for a time. I think it's important to remind yourself what you love.
Yeah, I would say so.
Rather
Yeah.
than focusing on what you don't.
And that's why I tell people, it's like, look, I have a show I do on Sundays where I just look at older Wonder Woman runs, like all the post-crisis, Perez, Rocca. Rocca's, to be clear, post-crisis run. His rebirth run is not good, but it's like Jimenez, even Simone was okay. So it's like, if you look at it, find the runs that you like, because there's plenty. These characters have been around since the 30s. I guarantee you there's a book there that you will like. That's why I always tell people, find the book that you want to read. That's it. It may be the current status quo. It may not. That's okay. DC reprint stuff.
Yeah, like there's stuff with some exceptions, because there are some runs that for whatever reason aren't available in collected format. So you kind of got to go digging, whether it's on the high seas or, you know, just getting lucky at either a comic book convention or your local comic store and finding the back issues to be able to, like, at least read the stories. Because some of them, like an example is post-crisis Flash. Not all of those, between the start of Mike Barron's run and the start of Mark Waid's, not all of those issues are collected together right now. Like, you don't, I have all of Wade's omnibuses. I have all of John's omnibuses on my shelf. I have Savage Velocity, also signed by Mike Barron. And this collects Barron and some of Messler Loeb's, but not all of it. Like, there's a bunch missing here that just literally don't exist in collected format right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly, and that's on DC. But it's like, the point is, like, inevitably you'll find like a book that you will enjoy, and it's like, okay, it's like, even if it's like a character that's currently being like abused, like, I'm pretty sure people during the dark times, you could find a good Wally West Flash book.
Yeah, I mean, that's not hard. Literally pick out any pre-Grant Morrison and Mark Miller, Mark Waid Wally West book, and it's probably really good because he has the best run on the character, period. Any Flash ever. I don't care if we're talking Jay, if we're talking Barry, talking Wally, Mark Waid's run, that's the definitive for me. Obviously, yes, I am a little biased because he wrote this one, and this is also the perfect design for Wally. There's no better than this. This is Wally West to me. But yeah, like, to your point, you can find a run that you will enjoy for literally any character.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that. That's the answer. I mean, and we even talked about that with what you guys are doing. There are some people that probably don't like ISOM, but they enjoy Yaira or like other characters, and that's the point of providing options to the consumer.
Yeah. Well, because if all we did was say, ISOM is the only book we're doing. This is the ISOM verse, right?
Yeah.
It's not the Rippaverse. It's not an expanding comic book universe. Or if we do have other characters, they don't have their own titles. Not really. Maybe they get a one shot, but it's mostly just ISOM in terms of doing an ongoing. One, that's not sustainable. And two, like building an expanding universe and giving readers more options is more fun. And you open yourself to new markets that way.
Yeah.
You bring in new fans that way. Like we have plenty of readers who their first comic book was Bloodruth 1 because they were big fans of the Saska's like horror stuff, right? And so they were like, oh, well, like I like them and I like horror. I'll check out this horror comic book, right?
Yeah.
And you know that's going to be the same thing with virtually anything. Every single comic book is somebody's first comic book, and so you're automatically going to expand your horizons and expand the demographics that you can reach when you do something like having an expanding universe and having multiple options. Now that does, like I said earlier in the show, that ultimately means you will probably get less of a percentage of your overall audience buying just the one book because you're giving them more options now. And you're going to have people who are like, you know, I enjoyed that well enough, but I'm more interested in this stuff over here. And so I got to triage my expendable income, right? Because Lord knows we got to do that in this economy. And so you got to be like, okay, so I'm going to spend my money on this book over here because I'm more interested in this and I'm enjoying this more rather than this one over here that was just kind of like okay for me or didn't like, right? That's the whole point of giving people options.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like on that, it's like that's why whenever I try and get people into reading comics the first time, the first thing I always give them is a team book, whether or not that's Justice League or Avengers, because the fact that it includes so many different characters and oftentimes the key characters of DC, you can pick. Okay, so I like the Flash, so it's like okay, it narrows down how many comics they have to read to get caught up. So it's like with me, it's like okay, I like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Yes, they have their own expansive runs, but compared to having to go, I want to read all of DC, or you could say I want to read most.
There are more comics in DC's library than anybody could read in their lifetime.
Well, yeah, exactly. So it's more like if you narrow that down more, yes, it's still daunting, but even in like individual runs, there are relaunches, there are jumping on points. So it's like it's easier if you can narrow it down to like one or two characters that someone likes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's always been like my tip. But yeah, so before we wrap up, let me ask you this: if you were trying to get someone into comics that has never been into comics before, how would you do it?
You know, usually what I do is I just ask them like what kind of stories they like first. So it doesn't even have to be tied to comics initially.
Okay.
What are the types of games that you gravitate towards? What are the types of movies you gravitate towards? What type of books you gravitate towards, right? I want to get an idea of what kind of characters this person likes, what kind of story themes they like. From there, as somebody who's been reading comics for a long time, I can match them up with like, okay, so you like this type of stuff. Maybe, okay, you like, let's just say, let's make it easy, like the John Wick films, you know, and stuff like that, right? Or, you know, you like a lot of those like military action type TV shows that are going on. There's a ton of them, right? Too many to count.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. Like, I automatically now know what types of characters fit that bill.
Yeah.
Right? I could recommend to you Punisher. I could recommend to you Horseman, right? Like, or if you're somebody who maybe somebody says, you know, I'm a big fan of the Sonic the Hedgehog games, right? I like sassy, fun characters like that. Okay. That tells me as long as it's a good run, I could recommend to you some Spider-Man. I could recommend to you some Flash. I could recommend to you my character, Blue Shift, right? I could recommend, depending on the continuity and era, some stuff that involves Pietro over at Marvel, because Pietro, like when he's tamed down a little bit, is actually kind of like Sonic. He's actually out of all of the like main speedsters, probably closest to him when he's like, they dial back the dickishness just a little bit. When he's like full jerk, not so much. But like so,
or
it
where
really just comes down to that,
or where Jeff Loeb wants to write him wanting to bang his sister for some reason.
Wasn't that?
Ultimates 3. It was
that was
Ultimates
Miller.
3.
Yeah, that wasn't.
No, that was Jeff Loeb.
Was
Miller had left by that point.
It's been a while since I actually have that trade, the Who Killed the Scarlet Witch, for Ultimates 3. I have that, but it's been a while since I've reread it. I forgot it was Loeb that read that.
Yeah, it was definitely Loeb, and I'm like, what? But
yeah, that was a choice.
Your Ultimates 3 is Loeb. Yeah, exactly. But I'm like, I would love to ask him why, but it's like, before we leave, one more thing I want to ask. So tell us about your character, Blue Shift.
Okay, so Blue Shift, his real name is Zephyr Arland. He is a young Except in our Rippaverse universe. Excepts are metahumans, or our superpowered beings, whatever analog term you want to go with. That's effectively what it is. It's a very broad term in that it's meant to be a term that, like, the common folk would use to refer to anybody that has special abilities. So Excepts could be, they could have gotten their powers from an experiment. They could have been born with them. They could have, like, magical training or whatever. They could be an alien with, special powers from outer space. It's just short for exceptional being, right? He is somebody who was born with his powers, and because of a family secret that he's had to keep those powers hidden outside of his mother and father for all of his life. And he's not been allowed to attend a quote unquote normal school up until now, up until the short story that introduces him. The short story is called Blue Shift Tryouts, and it's his first day attending a normal high school. And that comes with all of the hurdles that you would expect from somebody who has never been in that kind of an environment. Because you think about it, if you went to public school for any number of years before high school, you slowly, like, build certain skills and an understanding of how things work, different social, norms and
stuff,
people groups and things like that, how to act around people. He doesn't have any of that. And he's getting thrust into this brand new environment with things that he's never encountered before, on top of also having these special abilities that he was born with. And those special abilities actually have a huge drawback that people are going to learn about when they read the story a little bit. But the point of creating the character, one, I have an immense love, as is probably pretty obvious, for the speedster archetype. I love Quicksilver. I love the Flash. My entire top shelf of this shelf set here is dedicated just to my Flash books.
Oh my god!
I've got the entire New 52 run, the entire Rebirth run, all the current stuff, with the exception of the most recent trade.
Manipul's Flash is so gorgeous.
Manipul's Flash is beautiful. My buddy Spencer and I praise it all of the time on our show. But yeah, I absolutely love the speedster archetype, and I wanted to create a character who, yes, had that superpower, but I wanted to specifically create them to be a more traditional Heart of Gold superhero. And the reason for that is because not only is that the type of character that I connect with most when I'm reading comic books, but also it was, I think, the biggest hole that we had at the Rippaverse at present, in terms of, like, okay, so we're slotting in all these different character personalities. We have a lot of very either morally gray characters like Yaira. We have very complex, multifaceted characters like Isom. We have anti-heroes. We have outright villains. We have our brutal street level characters, and our cosmic characters now, thanks to Chuck and Joe. But we don't have just your traditional superhero. Brian Solari is obviously a Superman analog, right? Like, he looks very similar in some aspects to Superman. That's deliberate, right? He's homaging Superman. It's very clear. But he's, as a character, as a person, he couldn't be more different, right? So we were still missing that Heart of Gold classic superhero. Nobody was a superhero yet in our universe. And I was like, that's what I'm going to hone in on. Somebody needs to be the light in a dark world. And the darker your world, it's all the more important that you have someone that's that light. And this light is going to take a while to glow and take a while to shine, because I've got a lot of stuff planned for him in terms of like how he's going to have to grow into becoming a superhero, because he's not that in this short story that introduces him, introduces his cast, but it's meant to lay the groundwork for the stories that could potentially be to come if fans wind up enjoying it enough to where I get to write more.
Hell yeah, and obviously you can always come on here to promo it, because I'm very interested, because I've tried to get into Flash stuff, but lately the Flash books have not been as good as they should be.
I dropped Spurrier's run. I think like 3 or 4 issues
one issue.
in.
I tried one issue and I was like, I'm done. It just didn't interest me. It's like, all this is like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I get he was trying to do something different, but not every character is suited for every type of story.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think I'm glad that he's choosing to step away from it now, for a multitude of reasons. One, he admitted, I didn't have any stories left to tell. I think I was tapped on the character. And so it was just gonna, I respect that, right?
Yeah.
You're admitting I don't have anything else to add.
Good on him.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Respect. I don't have anything against the guy. I just didn't like his most recent run on the character. It's also brought back what I never thought I'd see, which is Mark Waid writing the character with Impulse Point. It took 2 seconds, if that, for me to feel at home reading that issue, because, man, him writing Bart again, that's so important for me, because like when I was growing up, that's like that was the new character, right? Like he created that character. That was part of Terminal Velocity, which is my all-time favorite arc in comic books, period. Like I have the whole arc here and they're all signed actually by Waid.
Oh, nice.
But that's what introduced Bart, right? That's what introduced really the idea of the Flash family. And so that's an incredibly important character to me. And the fact that he's back writing him made me so happy. He's doing some of his best work right now at DC, and I'm really glad to see it. Just stay off social media, Mark, and write good comics, because when you do that, you write amazing comics.
So good.
Justice League Unlimited, it started out really slow.
It did, but it really
got good. Yeah, and then it got really
good.
The
idea of having every superhero be on the league so you can like pick the team that works for the story you're going to tell. Why didn't they do that before?
Great question.
Part of it is
the headache when it comes to continuity. When you talk about large teams like that, I always actually like to push that. I think Justice League should not be an ongoing series. I think Justice League and any team book that's made up of characters who already have like their own individual solos, you should just have, maybe do a mini or maybe do a maxi, and you tell a story there. It's got high stakes. It feels real. It feels like it's a properly told story. And then they go their separate ways. You're not disbanding the league, but it's like they've got other stuff to deal with. Right? Because then you aren't running into the issue, which is always the case with these large teams that are made up of characters that are all, A and B list characters that have their own solo ongoings, where it's like, well, so if they're over here, how is the stuff in their solo going on right now? Right? Like this doesn't make any sense. Like you look at DCKO right now, like we have Matt Fraction's Batman happening concurrently with DCKO, which is a stupid event. But Matt Fraction's Batman has been really good so far for me. I love that book. I'm also a big Jorge Jimenez fan. I love his art. And so it's like, I feel like those types of stories would benefit. And you'd also get audience buy-in by way of not draining them, and by way of kind of having a sense of urgency. It's like, hey man, like we're telling this story in a quick 6 or 12 issues. And then that's it. That's it for this Justice League story, right? You give it a subtitle for the arc, right? And you number it 1 through whatever, and that's that. I feel like that would be a far more efficient way to handle those big teams, especially specifically teams like the Justice League. This doesn't necessarily apply to like the Teen Titans because they don't each have their own individual solos, right? Or the Titans, depending on what your Titans makeup is. If you have Dick and Wally on your Titans makeup, as you should, then you have a decision to make there because like,
or even Donna.
And Donna, yeah, like don't get me started on like Titans makeups right now because like I'm so upset with how like so many of the characters on the Teen Titans and Titans have been handled in recent years.
Is that why you don't like Tom Taylor?
Yes. It's also why I don't like Bendis. It's why I don't like a lot of writers.
His Superman run is why I don't like Bendis. Let me put it to you that way.
Bendis single-handedly destroyed the entire Superman family and the Young Justice team. Like, I don't know how you managed to do that. Like, I feel like you deserve a medal for that, but it's not a shiny one.
Oh yeah, it's very much not a shiny one. Or remember where he creates Naomi and then forces her on the Justice League for no reason?
Yeah, and I honestly like Naomi was a book that actually did decently, and the story itself on its own was fine. But like when you start throwing her automatically into the Justice League, it's like, wait a second, she's been here for 5 seconds. What is she doing belonging on this team?
Yeah, exactly. It's like he tends to do that where he forces the characters that he makes and wants to push on the team for no reason. And I'm like, no, that's not the way this could work. But yeah, so I think that is an excellent place to live it. Before we leave, I'm going to play the trailer for my book just to get a little self promo in there.
Nah.
My home has been invaded, my people slaughtered, and I could not do anything to stop it. Not again. I will not lose another home, another family. I am Princess Lyra of the planet Sintragar, Athena, the goddess of thunder, and this is my story.
And then I will drop the link to back Athena in the chat. There you go. Yeah, but so with mine, it's like, I always tell people King was not the main reason why I wrote it. He was just the last straw because it was like Wonder Woman has never really been treated as the character that she deserves to be treated as. Particularly if you're going to call her the third member of the Trinity, give her some importance. If you're not going to do that, it was like, look, and by the way, thank you. But it was like, at this point, it's like, look, I could as I told you, it's like I could either complain about how this character is being held. I could sit in front of a camera and complain, as fun as that is. And I got to be honest, I'm still going to sit in front of a camera and complain. That's part of running a YouTube channel. But it's like, at least with this, I'm putting a little positivity in there saying, like, here's my character. Here's my attempt at doing that.
No, absolutely. And it's okay for that to be like part of the initial inspiration, or at least like the nudge, right? That you need to say, you know what? Nobody seems to want to do it right, or at least do it the way that I want to see it. So I'm going to do it my darn self. Right. And that's not why I created Blue Shift. Though it maybe subconsciously there was some of that there because, you know, being a fan of The Flash and being either underwhelmed or outright annoyed or angry with how the characters have, any number of them have been handled, whether we're talking Barry, Bart, or Wally, or Jay. Jay gets like no respect, you know, over the last several years. Sure, it's like, you know what? I'm gonna tell my own story within this archetype. I'm gonna pay respect and homage some of my favorite characters in the genre, and I'm gonna do it myself, right? And so if DC and Marvel get the crap together and start telling good stories with these characters again, cool. I get to enjoy those too. But if they don't, I still have the older stories on my shelf that I love and adore and that were formative for me. And I can also write my own. Yeah,
exactly. And it's like, it's again, I have a theory that like every comic book fan, whether or not they want to admit it or not, has that one story idea in their minds that they would love to do. And it's every comic book writer, fan to a degree, wants to write a comic book. It's just like it may not be a whole series. It could just be one issue. But there's that one thing in the back of people's heads that want that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just like, that's where I kind of want to like. That's the other thing is like also this idea goes back 10 years. So it was like. No, but it actually started as like a military sci-fi novel, but the reason why I turned it into this is because, okay, wait, if I'm going to turn this into a comic book, I don't want to have to constantly like harass my artist to make sure the uniforms and the guns and everything look right. I'm just like, you know what? We both know superheroes. Just do superheroes.
I tell you what, man, if you start doing stuff with military, you have to pay such careful attention to all of that, because you will ultimately have people who are military and will say, nope, that patch is wrong. Nope, that insignia is wrong. That's the wrong flag, or it's facing the wrong way. That gun doesn't get held like that. That person's trigger discipline is ass. You know, any number of things, right? Where it's like, yes, that's true. That's all correct. There are a lot of extra logistical things that you open yourself up to in terms of like critique, and valid critique. If you end up doing something that's military, you can fudge it a little bit when it comes to sci-fi. If it's like super sci-fi, right? Where it's like, well, there's nothing on this planet that looks anything like that, so you can fudge that a bit. But yeah, if you're doing something that's remotely realistic, you better be ready, man. Like,
yeah. So I was like, no, we both know superheroes.
And that's a lot of work for your editors.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that's what I want to do with that. So I'll have Andrew's links down below, but let everyone know where they can find you and what have you got coming on your content.
Well, in terms of content, I will actually be on Thinking Critical tomorrow morning for comic aficionados. So I'll be streaming with the guys, talking about all sorts of comic book related content, as well as some of the newer books that came out this week. Sunday night, you can find me on my Caffeinated Wolf Twitch and YouTube channel, where I stream games with my buddies in Discord. We typically bounce around between Mario Kart and Mario Party, so we can all laugh and curse at each other, and just have a general good time, right? Because that's what people do.
Be dudes.
Right, yeah. If you're playing Nintendo multiplayer games, that's just kind of like the baseline. You are going to laugh, and you're probably going to yell and curse at your friends and family. That's just kind of what happens. But we do that, and we have a good time. Tuesday night, I'm over on World Class Bullshitters, where we have Prime Time / High Council, talking pop culture and all the newsy news of the week. And as far as my own stuff beyond that, I am the host of the Control Z Artist Podcast over at the Rippaverse. If you guys haven't been checking those out and you're interested in, the art aspect specifically of comic book creation and character design, things like that, our artists have a great time every single month. They have a prompt piece that they do, and we invite the fans who are artists or aspiring artists to join them in that. And if we like a piece enough, we'll display it on the show, on the podcast, and the artist will like give tips, they'll critique it. And last but not least, I do have, like I mentioned earlier in the show, my foil variant new comic book review podcast. Yes, I see you have Jackal. That's my co-host. And he does all the work, really. He's the one. I just have to show up, have a glass of wine, and talk comics. He's the one that actually like runs that stream, and he set up the overlay, and he spent months doing all that. He does the thumbnails. Like, he's the one with the actual talent when it comes to that. I just sit there and talk.
You're the eye candy.
I mean, I don't know if I'm all that, but I do just get to sit there and talk comics and drink wine, so I'm okay with that.
Great? And Barry, JDA asks, how do you have time to be on so many streams?
It's after work hours.
That's the same thing with me, because it's like because I stream and do content pretty much every day, and everyone's like, how do you do this? And I'm like, well, it's easy. I sit down in front of a camera after work, and then I do what I need to do. It's really that simple.
This week I'm on way more shows than I normally am. I say way more. I'm on 2 more. So I was like, I'm on your show, and then tomorrow morning I'll be on Comic Aficionados. But normally it's just my Sunday night gaming stream, my Tuesday night show with Jeff and the guys on WCBS, and then my Thursday show with Spencer. Other than that, I usually just have like the monthly Rippaverse podcast. That's it. Like, so
Yep.
it's 3 shows a week. Most of the time they're like 2 hours, sometimes an hour and a half, give or take. But it's not that difficult to make time for.
Yeah, exactly. And so for me, I'll give the audience that show up in the chat a little self promo what they can expect from me. It's on Sunday. I'm gonna be going through every issue of Tom King's Wonder Woman from beginning to end, his entire era, and just point out every single thing he got wrong, like every single issue.
That's a long stream.
I am taking the bullet for you people,
Man.
and
that's taking one for the team.
Yeah. In about 20 minutes, I'm doing my news show with some friends of mine where we talk about just the news of the week. Tomorrow for movie night, we're talking about the Black Adam movie, which I felt was decent. It wasn't like the best DC movie, but it was pretty good.
So that movie is stupid. Let me be clear. And I loved it.
Yeah, it's not like horrible.
I just had a good time. Because here's the thing. I knew going in, I wasn't getting a comic book accurate superhero adaptation. I was getting
The Rock Johnson. Of course, you're not getting the accurate Black Adam.
I was getting The Rock dressed up as Black Adam, and I knew that. I was able to live with that, and I was like, "All right, I'm here for it." And that's exactly what I got, and I had a good time.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
that was. I disagreed with some of the decisions that they made in it. Other than that, we got like a perfect on-screen Dr. Fate.
And also Henry Cavill as Superman.
And we got to see Henry Cavill there at the end with like they even cranked up the saturation on how bright blue his suit was, which made me want to cry. Like I enjoyed the film. I left the film with a smile on my face and, an empty bucket of popcorn. I was like, you know what? That was a good couple of hours. I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, exactly. And then Saturday night, I do my Super Wonder show where my co-host and I talk about. So this week we're comparing Superman and Wonder Woman to Supreme, the Image Comics Superman, and like he and I think her name is Glory. But so we normally go for about 2.5 to like even 4 hours on that. But she still is not forgiving me because I made her watch Aliens versus Predator because she didn't know what about aliens and predators. And because we were doing a Halloween special where it's like, what if we crossed over Superman and Wonder Woman with aliens and predators? So her text commentary is hilarious because she sends me a DM and she goes, "The hell is this movie?" And I'm like, and then she made me watch Jeepers Creepers, and instantly I was like,
the first one,
both.
Oh, okay. There are 3 of them.
There's 4. The minute he starts,
4. Oh well, I was wrong. I've only seen the first 3.
I was out. The minute I see him licking a window, and I go, is he trying to seduce his prey or is he trying to kill his prey? This is weird.
The movie's weird, man. It's a weird movie. Weird movies, plural. They're all weird.
A lot of them are very weird. But yeah, so that's what I got coming out again. Back Athena, and
yes.
and let me know if any of you guys do in the chat because I will give you a shout out. I know Andrew already has. Thank you very much, brother.
Of course, absolutely.
And you can count on my support on Blue Shift. I look forward to that. Man. And stay heroic, everyone. And we will see you guys in about 20 minutes. See you guys later. Bye-bye.